Hello and welcome to this video series on Drupal. Now in this video we're going to touch base on the site configuration, and to do that let's head on over to our administrator link and click on that, and over to site configuration link and click on that. And we've got quite a few options to go through here. I'm going to save actions for later, and administration themes, we'll cover that later whenever we do the themes. But let's go ahead and try out the clean URLs. And basically what this is, it makes your site a little more not so much user friendly, but SEO friendly. Makes them search engines really want to look for you. And this is something that in the past you would have to perform a test to be able to enable this. It basically does this on its own through the 6.0 version. But like anything else here, if you make any changes, go ahead and save configuration. And let's check out the date and time. And this is where you can set up your site's date and time status. And this is the time right now, Greenwich Mean Time -5 hours. User configurable time zone, I would leave that enabled or put that to enabled. First day of the week, for most everybody it's Sunday or Monday, but you have the ability to make it Wednesday if you'd like. But we're going to keep it as Sunday for my site. And then we've got the formatting down here. I'm happy with this. Again, you have the ability to make those changes here. Quite a few options to play with. And then of course you make any changes, as normal, click on Save Configuration. Now error reporting. Here you have the ability to add a custom page in the event a visitor types in the wrong word, or basically just forgets the actual address to your website and types in something they think is close to it. But instead of them getting a blank, like something from HostGator that says wrong page 404 blah blah blah, you can put a custom page in here, or in this case it sends them directly to your main page, the front page. But if you'd like to put in some kind of AdSense related type page or some other page, then fine, you're able to do that as well. And likewise, that's for the 403 access denied, and likewise for the 404 wrong page. I guess I had those backwards. But anyway, also you can put in here to have the errors right to the log, and that's another module that there's several more modules relating to the log and the stats that we need to activate, and we'll get into that in our modules video. But I'd go ahead and leave it at this here, where it writes the errors to the log and to the screen. And again, if you make any changes here, click on Save Config. Now file system, I would go ahead and leave this alone. And this is something you had to basically create on your own in prior versions, but thanks to the miracle of technology, version 6.0 already has this done for us. And I would leave this alone, basically. I mean, if you want to play around with this, or you've got a little more brains than I do as far as all the possibilities here, then by all means go for it. Otherwise, I'd leave it alone. And the download method, again, I'd leave this just at the default of public. But if you are brave and know what you're doing, then go ahead and click, and have made some changes, then click on Save Configuration. And Image Toolkit. Again, it's kind of out of our hands here. I'd leave it alone, but you have this ability in the event something comes up and you have to change the, for example, quality of your JPEG images. But I would just leave this alone. Not much you can do with this one. Input formats. What I would do here is I would go ahead and change the default to full HTML, and we're going to actually I'll just leave this alone for the time being, because we're going to be coming back here later, because we are going to install a WYSIWYG HTML editor, because currently, and I'll show you this right quick, if we go to create content, and we'll just pick this one. Right now we've got no HTML ability. In other words, you can't add formatting like bold or underline or create a clickable URL. We just don't have that ability here. And we're going to go into this in a little more detail whenever we go into installing our WYSIWYG editor, and we'll, like I said, get to that here later. But let me get on back to I just wanted to show you what I was talking about as far as the input format. And at that time, once we get that installed, we'll come back here and change the default to full HTML. But again, when we do that, we'll click on Set Default Format. Now, logging and alerts. Basically, you're going to leave that alone. There's going to be a few more items pop up here whenever we go to add or enable some of those modules I was referring to earlier. But for the time being, I just wanted to show it off. And under performance, most of this we're just going to leave as is, but just to let you know, this does exist. So whenever you get to the point of having a gazillion members on your site and your traffic is just outrageously fantastic, you do have a spot where you can come to make things a little more smoother and not clog up the system. For example, you can click on normal. Now if you click on aggressive, of course all this is explained in here, if you click on aggressive, right now as it says, all the modules I have installed are cool with the aggressive setting. But if you start installing modules left and right, you want to come back here to performance to make sure that that's still good. Otherwise it could really screw things up for you. So you could either leave it on disabled or normal. Just starting out, disabled's fine, but I want to change something. I haven't changed anything in a while. So we're going to go with normal. And likewise here, all this here is something that can be changed at the time and whenever your site gets to the point of having a lot of traffic, and maybe you notice it getting bogged down a bit, or you're getting complaints from visitors. Yeah, same. Most all that information is dealing with adding to the performance of your site and letting it load quicker. Site information. Right now, for example, our site is the URL, but I want to change that because our site's dealing with real estate. If I can spell it correctly. And at the beginner's level. So we're going to change that, and you'll see right up here that's going to affect it. And the slogan, we'll leave that blank for the time being. The footer message is what pops up down here at the footer. I'm going to type in maybe by the time these videos come out, this will be actually true. Because right now it's not. It's not so bad where I live, but some of the coastal states, real estate is not where you want to sink your money right now. Well, if you've got money to set on it, it's not bad, because you can get them at bargain basement prices. Now this here is something else too I'd like to change. The anonymous user, those that are not logged in but are popping up on your site, right now they are given the title of anonymous. It may sound a little bit better if they're given the title of, say, guest or visitor, or George or Jane or anything other than anonymous, but I would leave it at guest, something other than anonymous. And this right here, you don't want to mess with this. Just leave that alone for now. We'll talk about that in a later video. Then just, of course, after you made changes, click on Save Configuration, and you can see right up here what I was talking about as far as that name changing. In site maintenance, really not a lot we can do with this, except in the event you happen to have a point in which you want to take your site down because you've got a lot of change you need to make, you got an upgrade, maybe next year whenever 7.0 comes out, you want to upgrade from the 6.0 to the 7.0. Well, this is where you can do that. Just come in and click on offline, toss in a message here if you want to change the default, and then naturally come on down and click on Save Configuration. And that, folks, is a quick rundown on our site configuration. And again, we'll be visiting this spot on a regular basis as we are adding modules and tweaking this and tweaking that. So hopefully you learned something from this video. You have a great day. Thank you much for watching.